It's mailbag time here on Chicago Bears Now. I'm your host, as always. Give me a follow on Twitter at HGramNFL. Ask me more questions over there because I can't answer every single question here on the show. Tambor The Lambor first up. Which team do you think will be the best in the NFC this season? That's a good question. I mean, the Bucs brought back all 22 starters. They're going to be tough to beat. If Tom Brady is still, good, he doesn't even have to be, epic Tom Brady for that team to really play well. I think the Bucs are the team to beat in the NFC if Tom Brady is still Tom Brady. Daniel S., if Nick Foles gets traded, will the Bears have to eat a lot of his contract for another team, or if another team agrees to take him? So you actually save $4 million in cap space if you trade Foles. Yeah, there's some dead money that the Bears have to take on, but in the end, they save money against the cap. So that's why they would like to trade him. I think the Jets should trade for Foles, throw a 6th or 7th to Chicago. Zach Wilson, as of Tuesday, hadn't reported yet, but even once he does, you want Mike White being your backup quarterback in New York if you're the Jets. I think Foles to New York makes a ton of sense. Matthew Lane, will Ridley make the 53-man roster? Well, it's looking a lot better for him now that Anthony Miller's not in the mix. If you're watching live, we'll do a 53-man roster projection for you guys here in just a few minutes, so stay tuned. We'll see if I've got Ridley making the 53-man. Still a lot of competition at receiver, but he's got a much better chance now that Anthony Miller's gone. Daniel S., can the Bears still sign AR to a long-term deal before the start of the season, or will that not be done anymore? You can't sign him until after the season now. Once you pass the franchise tag deadline on July 15th, they're on the tag this year. Can't negotiate, can't get a long-term deal. I guess you could verbally agree to a new contract, but nothing can become official until next offseason. Super chat from Anthony Villarreal. Appreciate it. Shout out to Highland, Indiana. Beardown. Next year, Justin Fields can lead the Bears to a Super Bowl, or can he? It's possible, right? If you build around him correctly, if this offensive line continues to play well, if the defense balls out, obviously it would mean that Justin Fields is the real deal if this team goes to a Super Bowl. Like, this team isn't good enough to get to a Super Bowl with average quarterback play, even though in 2018 that could have been a Super Bowl caliber team with just okay quarterback play. He'll have to be special, but there's a chance he is special. I think he'll be really good. Joe Blow, 69. Is Dazz Newsome a lock to make the roster after trading Anthony Miller? So, kind of like the Ridley question earlier, it's definitely, you're feeling better if you're one of these other receivers, right, that wasn't a lock to make the team. And let's be clear, after Allen Robinson and Darnell Mooney, to me, there are no locks to make the roster at receiver. Dazz Newsome, I do think will make the roster. I think he was going to make it anyway before Miller. They drafted him. Sure, it was a later draft pick, but he's fast. He's explosive. He's started training camp here on the PUP list, so we'll see when he's back and fully healthy. But assuming he gets healthy before Week 1, I fully expect him to be on the 53-man roster. I think he can be potentially a game breaker at some point this season for the Chicago Bears' electric speed. Who will be wide receiver 3 for the Bears this year? I don't think Newsome will be as a rookie, but maybe down the road. I would probably guess Damiere Byrd at this point, but let's hear what you guys have to say on this one. Who will be the number 3 wide receiver for Chicago this season? Penny is next up. Could the Bears keep Andy Dalton as a backup next season? Sure. I mean, they could. It's kind of up to him, right? Like, he'll certainly want to pursue a starting job, but if those aren't out there and the Bears make him a healthy offer, $5, $6, $7 million, which is what good backups make, then I could totally see him sticking around if he can't start somewhere. Mr. Beardown, hear me out. All right. Even with Andy Dalton as our Week 1 starter, we still beat the Rams because of the Cam Akers injury. The Rams offense will have to force the newly acquired Stafford to heavily pass. Look, you're going to have a chance in that game regardless. It's not like, it's Week 1 and it's the NFL. Anything can happen. Now, the Rams are going to be favorites, as they should. I don't know how much the Cam Akers injury really impacts that one game. Probably a little bit. But I think McVay was going to open up the passing game anyway with Matthew Stafford. So, Bears got a chance in that game. It's going to be tough. It's a primetime game on the road, which those are two areas Dalton has struggled with at times in his career. Sharod Curry, in your opinion, which side of the ball is going to dominate the offense or the defense? If either side of the ball is going to dominate, it'll probably be the defense. Now, it's hard to dominate on one side of the ball if the other side isn't effective. It's especially hard to dominate on defense if the offense is bad, because if the offense is bad, what happens? Short possessions for your offense creates long and more possessions for your defense. You get tired, and you can't dominate for 60 minutes. So if the offense is better, maybe that gives the defense a chance to dominate and be closer to 2018 form. Scott Osborne, what if Fields wins the job, I think is what you're saying, prior to the opener? Does Dalton get traded? I don't think so. You don't really save much if you trade Dalton. It still makes more sense to try and trade Foles. I guess it's possible, but they gave him $10 million, and I think if you trade him, you still eat like 8 of that. So it's like it's not really helping you out to trade Andy Dalton. So I would not expect that to happen. I also think Dalton will start week 1, barring something incredibly significant, either in terms of an injury or Fields just being that impressive in the preseason. Speaking of Justin Fields, which, hey, I'm hyped for him, get his jersey at chatsports.com/Fields1. We got these navy ones right here. We got the white ones as well, the roadies. Those are always a good look. And, hey, you could be like me and buy the orange jersey at chatsports.com/Fields1. This is the most sold jersey in Chat Sports history, and I want to keep that going. So use our link down below. You get the good price. Nike Authentic Jerseys, chatsports.com/Fields1. That link will be in the comments, and it will be in the description. Donkey210 Tovar, now that Steven Nelson is to the Eagles, who can we target now? I mean, it's pretty thin at corner. We don't really know what's going on with Richard Sherman at this point. I don't know what his status is going to be this year. You're probably just stuck with what you got, realistically. You hope Kendall Vildor emerges. Sean Desai's spoken highly of him this offseason. Today, Matt Nagy and Ryan Pace acknowledged that they believe he can push for a starting role this year. Obviously, Desmond Trufant will probably get the first look there, but he wasn't exactly very effective last year. We'll see. I mean, you hope one of those two guys can hold down the fort at CB2, and then one of the other ones, or Duke Shelley, can play nickel for you. Arnaan 23, would you trade Fields and a first, as well as Cohen and like a fourth for Deshaun Watson, including his issues off the field right now? Also, what are some other trade packages Bears can do to get him? Guys, the Watson ship has sailed. The focus is Fields. You're not going to trade Fields before you even see him play for Deshaun Watson in his 22 civil sexual assault cases. Like, it's not going to happen. That's obviously a storyline I'm going to watch to see where he ends up, but I can pretty much assure you it will not be Chicago. Moose the Moose, do you think the secondary will produce without Fuller? I think Eddie Jackson plays better this year. He wasn't bad last year, but definitely wasn't his all-pro type of self. Missed a lot of tackles, had a couple of unlucky breaks on what should have been pick sixes, but I think he'll bounce back. I love Jalen Johnson. I think he can be a number one corner in this league. I think he is up for that challenge. Really, it comes down to those other corner spots. Does Tashawn Gibson play well this year? I thought he was fine last year next to Jackson. I don't think the secondary will be quite as good, but I'm not as panicked either, especially if the front seven gets more pressure this year, which I think they will. Gunny the Goat, do the Bears win 10 games? The schedule's tough. Rodgers is back in Green Bay. It's possible. I'm probably more in like the 8-9 range right now. It's so hard to know. How long does Dalton start? Is he good while he starts? Do they go to Fields? Is he ready as a rookie? It's so hard when you don't know what's going on at quarterback. Like, despite all the drama in Green Bay, they know what they have in Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers probably wins them 9 games alone, right? So then they win 3 or 4 more if other things happen. So it's going to be tough. The schedule's not easy. I wish I could answer this question after a couple of games to get a better feel. Zach is next up. You think Rodgers will be the highest paid QB when they renegotiate his contract? The renegotiating is more about him having flexibility to leave next year. It's not about making him the highest paid. Maybe they'll throw him more guaranteed money for this year. We'll see what happens. But we heard a report a couple of weeks ago that they offered him a 2-year extension to make him the highest paid player in the NFL, and he said no. So I think it's more about him having flexibility to leave Green Bay in 2022. Show the hate, Bears fans. Is Aaron Rodgers your least favorite player of all time? Type Y for yes, type N for no. And if he's not, then let me know who is. I'd love to know, get a feeling from you guys watching right now here on YouTube. So Y for yes, N for no. Is Aaron Rodgers your least favorite player of all time? Ramiro Mendoza, who's your favorite linebacker besides Roquan? I mean, Khalil Mack, if in 3-4 scheme, he's an outside linebacker. Off ball, I mean, I still like Trevathan. He started slow last year. I thought he picked it up in the second half of the season. If Eddie Goldman is back in 85% of himself, that's really going to help these linebackers because he really frees up lanes for these linebackers to just make stuff happen. I think the duo of Smith and Trevathan is still very, very effective, and I think it will be for at least another year. Matthew Lane, Chris Olave trade if A-Rob gets tagged and traded, which I hope does not happen. So I think what you're saying is, all right, you tag and trade A-Rob and you trade up for Chris Olave. It's possible. I think you'd get at least a second for Allen Robinson in a tag and trade. So then you would have 2 second-round picks. You package those to get into the first round. Could happen. It's a deep wide receiver class. Depends on how Olave shakes out this year next to his counterparts in college football at wide receiver. But obviously, that's a popular name because he played with Justin Fields for 2 years at Ohio State. Scott Osborne, who returns punts and kickoffs this year? I think Khalil Herbert's your kick returner, the rookie out of Virginia Tech. And if Dazz Newsome is healthy and makes the team, I would like to see him returning punts. I would take Tarik Cohen off punt return duty. We saw what happened last year. He's getting older. Not that he's old, but I mean, I think Newsome can handle that role. And if he's going to make the roster, he needs to have special teams value. So I would go with him if he's up for the job. Mr. Beardown, will Sean Desai bring Khalil Mack, Akeem Hicks, and Eddie Jackson back to 2018 form? People act like Mack has fallen off. He's still a beast. Like, yeah, you need double-digit sacks out of him, and I get that. He's been just under the past couple of years. But you look at all the advanced metrics, he's still the best, if not a top 3 defensive end, edge type in the game, outside linebacker, whatever you want to call him. Akeem Hicks, look, he's getting older. He's still a really good player. The sack numbers didn't show it last year, but he was effective when he was healthy. And then who else did he ask about? Eddie Jackson or Goldman. I don't know which one you're referring to, but really both, I guess, could apply here. He's the guy I'm looking at to bounce back. And Robert Quinn as well. 2 years ago, Quinn played really well for the Cowboys, so surely he can't be worse than last year. Ryan Pace seemed excited for him during his presser on Tuesday. Michael Rucinski, last one on this mailbag. Do you think we could get Michael Thomas if we trade A-Rob and a second-round pick? I don't want to do that. That's the thing. I don't think the gap between Thomas and Allen Robinson is a second. Like, I think they're much closer than people think. I guess if the ship is totally sailed, you could, look into something like that. But also, for this year, that doesn't help you at all. Thomas is going to miss the next 4 or 5 months. So, yeah, I'm not really into that idea. I would rather just extend Robinson after this year.